Are you serious? Are you serious? What is going on with this knockout game? What? I mean, going around just not walking up behind people, just belting them with everything you got, trying to knock people out with one punch. It's called the knockout game. It's not a game, folks. And they're usually picking on older people, elderly if they can, whoever, doesn't matter. They'll walk up and they're not. It's not about robbery. It's about just seeing if they can knock you out. Now, I want to thank Kathy for sending this to me, but this knockout thing is purely demonic. Purely demonic. Matter of fact, here I'm just looking at the Daily News in New York. An elderly woman could be the city's 10th knockout game victim. She was 76 years old. Her name is Yvonne Small. She didn't die, thank God. Some people have fallen dead and died. It's being caught on surveillance cameras. But someone walked up to her at 11:35 a.m. in the morning, walking down the Alabama Street there in New York, and got hit, a brutal hit in the back of the head, knocked her out. She ended up going to the hospital. She's going to be okay. But this is going on all across the city of New York and in other parts of the world, but specifically New York City. It's really, really getting bad, and it's just demonic, folks. Now, believe it or not, H.G. Wells, the sci-fi author, actually wrote something in a book he wrote many years ago. It's funny how sometimes people write things and then later they come to pass. Sometimes people write things in the prophetic, in the spiritual prophetic, and it comes to pass. And other times people write things in the spiritual demonic, and it comes to pass. Satan likes to reveal what he's got up his sleeve as well. Anyway, he wrote the story centers on an island where the line between human and animal has been blurred, creating a society of half-man, half-beast creatures that live in a relative harmony. Now, over time, that's Nephilim's, guys. I mean, that's the seed of Satan if there ever was one. But anyway, over time, though, the island's inhabitants begin to lose their humanity, reverting into savage monsters that fight and kill each other without mercy. When the novel's lone human escapes back into civilization, he finds himself pondering the sins of humanity and whether we are any different than the monsters he left on the island. Given this recent knockout game, an epidemic that's catching, I think maybe H.G. Wells may have been on to something. Now let me just write, knockout, or it's also known as polar bear hunting, as it sometimes is called, is a violent game targeting random people across the country. The practitioners, who are mostly teenagers, approach a stranger and see if they are capable of knocking him or her to the ground with a single punch. To the delight of the friends, some victims have died. But the game persists on. World Magazine dives deeper into the attacks, explaining, what makes knockout game different from the crimes we most accustomed to is that there's no motive or goal, not even passion to commend it. Knockout is done for the sheer fun of it, as opposed to stealing because you're hungry or gunning someone down to settle a score. Knockout is the end of the line Western civilization kind of violence. It makes no sense, folks. But it does if you understand the demonic. If you understand how the demons of this world work. Now, I wrote a book called Zombie Apocalypse, in which I break down a lot of different demon activity that goes on in the human spirit. I also took some excerpts from some of the teachings I received from Dr. Lester Sumrall, who cast out more demons out of people probably than anyone that was alive while he was on the earth. He ordained me, and he also laid hands on me and prophesied over me back in 1996 while I was in Jerusalem. I also studied the exorcisms of an Anglican priest out of Ireland, and also other accounts of demon activity, whether it's demon infestation, demon oppression, or demon possession. I can tell you now, this knockout game is not just a joyride for teenagers. It is a spiritual demonic demon that these young people are operating in to hunt down victims, innocent victims, and mercilessly hit them. This thing will only fester into bigger and worse crimes. It's just a prelude to what you're going to see as we get further on into the apocalypse and we begin to understand why these demon spirits are rising. The days of Noah was so unrighteous and so wicked, and every imagination of the heart was on men's minds continually. Every evil imagination. Also, in the days of Sodom and Gomorrah, the same thing. Literally, it was not just homosexuality, let's say, taking over a city. It was literally hunting people down like prey and setting up raping booths and taking young men off the streets for sexual gratification. Now, these types of spirits are increasing in our land today. They are demons, and they're in both the heterosexual rapist or the homosexual rapist. It doesn't matter. It's the same spirit of grabbing or taking a victim. The knockout game is beyond this even. It's random acts of violence for the sheer joy of the violence. And this is pure demonic activity. So I want you to know right now that we are living in the last days that the Bible said would come, where we would see this evil, just like it was in Noah's day, and just like it was in the days of Lot. Now, as we get closer to the end, we're going to begin to see more and more of this savage mentality as the seed of Satan will begin to propagate across the earth. And you will see more and more and more of the same mentality that the giants of old that roamed the lands of Canaan will be among the human population again. Demon spirits. Don't worry, it won't last long. Christ will return, and he will put an end to it all. Now my question is, are you saved? Have you given your life to Jesus Christ? Are you walking in the light of his love? Because he's coming soon to get his bride, and I want you to go to heaven with me. Don't miss today's show. It's going to be a powerful show at Paul Begley Prophecy. Just come to my website, www.paulbegleyprophecy.com. That's www.paulbegleyprophecy.com. We will study these subjects and a whole lot more, including the comet Ison and other things that are going on around the world, in the Middle East and in Rome. Some major breakthrough information for you as it relates to the final covenant, or the covenant with many people, in Daniel 9:27. So we'll be right back. Stay with us. I'm Pastor Paul Begley. God bless you. I'll see you later today.